Hello petals, my name is Anais. I am a womb witch, a Rahani energy teacher, and a plant alchemist. Under Unfurling Alchemy, I guide women in reconnecting with their power, awakening their essence, and step into sovereignty. In these episodes, I am going to approach topics around womb mysteries, energy healing, and cyclic living. Hello petals, this episode is a little bit crunchy. In this episode, I want to talk to you about why you keep choosing the same relationship over and over again in a different body. And I know this one so well because I have done it so many times. And I have sat with so many women who recognize themselves in this pattern immediately. You end a relationship because something is not quite right and you know it. And maybe it takes you a while to admit it, but you know it. So the relationship ends. And you think, okay, this time is going to be different. This time I would choose differently. And then you meet someone new. A different person, a different packaging, different circumstances. And slowly, the same issue starts to emerge. The same dynamic, the same feeling you had in that last relationship. And you think, how is this happening again? It feels like such bad luck. It feels like you are choosing the wrong people over and over again. But it is not actually about the people that you're choosing. It is about the patterns that live inside of you. And this can happen in romantic relationships. I spent many years waking up next to different someones that I knew weren't my life partners. But this can also happen in friendships. It can happen in any type of relationships where those same patterns are coming through, but the context are different. And so what is actually happening here is that those people in your life are mirroring back parts of you that you not have yet dealt with, that you haven't quite healed yet, that you haven't quite fully given whatever it needs. So when someone is triggering you, when they make you feel uncomfortable or activated or frustrated or sad, it is because they are showing you something about you. And it is not random. It is absolute crucial information that is actually there to help you and support you into moving forward in your journey. And I want you to sit with this for a little moment because it's really important. The people who trigger us the most are often the people who are mirroring back our biggest wounds. The places where we have not made peace with ourselves yet. The parts of us that have been rejected or denied or been ashamed of. And so when someone shows us those parts by reflecting them back to their behavior or their presence or the way they treat us, we feel this activation, we feel this trigger, we feel this defense mechanism coming in, and we feel this urge to push them away. But that activation is not telling you to run, actually. It is telling you to pay attention. It is telling you that there is something in you that needs you to be looking at it, that needs to be healed. Let me give you a couple of examples of what this could look like. Let's say you have a friend who goes to the gym regularly, and she is super fit. She looks great. She takes care of her health. And somehow, when you're around her, you feel insecure. You feel like this squishy potato. You feel uncomfortable and smaller somehow. And you find yourself maybe making comments, or maybe you are withdrawing. Maybe you are becoming overly conscious of what you're eating when you're around this person. And eventually, you might distance yourself from her because being around her just makes you feel bad. But here is what is actually happening. She's not making you feel bad. She is mirroring back to you your own displeasure that you have with yourself, with your own body, with the amount of effort or not that you are putting into taking care of yourself. The discomfort you feel around her is pointing to a wound inside of you, a place where you have not made peace with how you are treating your own body. and with the gap between who you want to be and who you currently are being. And so it's really activating this element within you. And so what do we usually do in this situation? Maybe we cut her off. Maybe we distance ourselves. Maybe we tell ourselves that actually she wasn't a good friend anyhow. And we think that removing her will remove the feeling. But it doesn't. It may do for like a fraction of a second, and then it doesn't. Because cutting her off does not heal the wound. The wound stays within you. It stays tender, ready to be triggered again by something else, by someone else. And so you meet someone else who reflects that same insecurity back to you, a different person, same wound being poked. Here is another example. You start dating someone. Okay, let's see. You start dating someone and it's the beginning, right? And in the beginning, it feels exciting, but then you start kind of like noticing that actually they don't text you back as quickly as you would like. They seem a little bit emotionally unavailable. They don't seem to prioritize time with you in the way you hoped they would. And something inside you reacts so strongly to this because you feel so rejected, so undesirable. You feel like you are not important enough. Because for sure, if you were important enough, they would make space for you. So you start pulling away. Or you start to test them. And the dynamic becomes uncomfortable. And eventually it ends. And you think, maybe this was just not the right person for you. Which might still be the case. But what this unavailability was actually mirroring back to you was your own relationship with yourself. Maybe you abandon your own needs in order to be available for others. Maybe you have learned somewhere along the way that love means chasing someone who does not quite show up. Maybe there is a part of you that does not fully believe that you are worthy of consistency, of presence, of available, unconditional love. And so their behavior, which triggered you so deeply, was actually showing you something about the way you relate to yourself, about the wound that was already there long before that person arrived into your life. And it can happen in complete different contexts too. Think about like an authority figure like, a boss, a teacher, someone in a position of power over you. And this person is critical or dismissive, or they never seem to quite believe in the way that you want them to believe in you. And so you feel small around them. You feel like you're constantly trying to prove yourself. You either work harder and harder and harder to gain their approval, or you become super resentful of them and you decide that they are the problem. But what it actually is mirroring back to you is your own inner critic. The part of you that is never quite satisfied with what you do. The part of you that requires constant external proof of your worth because you have not yet built this sense of worth within the inside of you. And in all three of those situations, the instinct is the same. Remove the person and the dynamic, move on. And yes, that is the right thing to do. Sometimes removing yourself out of a situation is exactly the right thing to do. I want to be really clear about this, that I'm not saying that you should never end a relationship or leave a job or let a friendship fall away. Sometimes distance is necessary. Sometimes dynamics are genuinely harmful and toxic, and walking away is the healthiest potential choice that you can make for yourself. And friendship breakups are real and they can be incredibly painful, and all of that is absolutely valid. But here, what I am saying is that ending the relationship without looking at what is relevant in you means that you will recreate the same dynamic again with someone else. Because the wound does not heal just because the person is gone. You carry it with you. And so you attract similar people, or you respond to new people in the same old ways. And the pattern continues until you pause, until you get curious, until you ask yourself, what is this person showing me about myself? What wound are they triggering? What part of me needs attention here? Because when you start looking inward instead of outward, when you start to ask what you are meant to learn from this dynamic instead of just cutting it off, something starts to shift. The discomfort does not disappear immediately. In fact, it actually might get worse for a little moment because it can get more intense. Because for a while, you are actually looking at this instead of running away from it. But that discomfort is not punishment. It is not a sign that you're choosing wrong. It is crucial information. It is your system, your body, your inner knowing trying to help you heal. Your womb, your intuition, your guides keep sending you people and situations that will show you what needs healing. It keeps mirroring back the same wound until you actually look at it, until you do that internal work that is so needed. Because this is how we move on. This is how we become whole. This is how we break the patterns for good. So the next time you find yourself in a familiar dynamic, the next time someone triggers that same old wound, instead of just leaving or cutting them off, pause, get still, and ask yourself, what is being revealed in you right now? What part of yourself are you seeing reflected in this person? What do you need to look at in yourself? And from that place of awareness, from that place of curiosity instead of reaction, you can actually choose differently. Not a different person, but a different response to what is being shown to you. And that is when we break the patterns. That is when you stop choosing the same old relationships in different bodies. This is when you become someone who is no longer repeating the same story, but finally writing a new one. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I see you in the next one, my petals. Bye bye.